In the heart of the sprawling grand palace of Siam, past the gilded halls of state and the temples of the Emerald Buddha, there lies another city, a city within a city, enclosed by high white walls and governed not by ministers or generals, but by its own sun and moon, its own rhythms, its own quiet laws. This is the Phai Nai, the inner palace, a world inhabited almost entirely by women. Here, generations of queens, royal consorts, princesses, and their countless attendants live out their lives in a complex, structured, and often beautiful tapestry of duty and tradition. Tonight, we will not speak of the great kings or the political intrigues that unfold beyond these walls. Instead, we will step quietly inside and follow the passage of a single day. We will witness the world through the eyes of one of its residents, a court lady, and learn of the quiet arts that give her life its shape, its meaning, and its serene, unhurried pace. The day does not begin with the sun. It begins with a sound, the faintest resonance of a distant temple gong, a deep, mellow tone that travels over the palace walls and settles into the still, humid air of the sleeping chambers. It is a sound that does not startle, but rather coaxes the world from its slumber. It is less a command to awake than an invitation, a low, vibrating hum that seems to emanate from the earth itself, spreading through the wooden floors and into the very bones of those who lie sleeping. Inside her quarters, the air is thick and warm, a familiar blanket woven from the scents of the previous day. The dominant note is polished teak wood, a fragrance that is both sweet and sturdy, the very structure of her world. Beneath it lies the lingering perfume of last night's incense, a ghost of sandalwood and benzoin. And under that, the faint, clean smell of cotton and the human scent of sleeping bodies. There is no sound yet within the room, save for the soft, even breathing of the young attendants sleeping on woven mats nearby. Their chests rise and fall in a gentle, synchronous rhythm, a quiet testament to shared existence. For a long moment, there is only this profound stillness. It is a state of being between dream and wakefulness, a precious liminal space. Her body, finely tuned to the palace clock, knows the rhythm of this hour without conscious thought. It is a time for gathering oneself, for letting the world outside the body slowly come into focus. The dreams of the night, fragments of memory and imagination dissolve like mist. She does not fight their departure, but allows them to fade, leaving her mind as a placid lake awaiting the first ripples of the day. She rises not with a jolt, but with a slow, deliberate grace. The movement is fluid, practiced over thousands of mornings, a piece of silent choreography. First, she pushes herself up onto one elbow, the muscles of her arm taking her weight without a tremor. The thin cotton of her sleeping clothes, worn soft by countless washings, makes no sound as she moves. She sits for a moment, her feet still tucked beneath her, allowing her body to fully arrive in the present. The floor mat beneath her is cool and slightly rough against her skin, a familiar and grounding texture. Her bare feet make the softest whisper of a sound on the smooth, dark wood of the floor as she moves towards the ceramic water pot in the corner. This is the oang, an unglazed earthenware vessel that keeps the water within naturally cool through evaporation. Its surface is porous and cool to the touch. The water it holds was collected from the last rain, meticulously filtered through layers of cloth and sand, a small act of purification. Floating on the surface, releasing its delicate fragrance into the water, is a single, perfect jasmine flower. This is not for decoration, but for scent and spirit. It is believed that the flower imparts a kind of purity to the water. She dips a small, polished coconut shell into the pot. The sound is a gentle plink that barely disturbs the silence. The water she brings to her face is a shock, but a gentle one. It is cool and clean, and it carries the ghost of jasmine. It is the day's first true sensation, a ritual cleansing that washes away not just the residue of sleep, but the lingering veil of the dream world. She pats her face dry with a small square of soft cotton. The ritual is complete. She is awake. The day has begun, not with a rush, but with a quiet and mindful series of small, perfect actions. The preparations for the day are a ritual in themselves, an art form as subtle and demanding as any other she will practice. On a low wooden table, polished to a deep luster by years of care, sits an array of small earthen pots and polished shells. This is her toilette. There is no glass mirror as we would know it. Her reflection is a soft, indistinct shape in a highly polished brass dish, a gentle impression rather than a stark reality. It encourages a focus on feeling and process rather than on perfect appearance. The first scent of the day is cumin or turmeric. She takes a small piece of the dried, gnarled root and grinds it against a rough stone surface with a few drops of water. The friction releases its vibrant, earthy fragrance and creates a thick, golden yellow paste. The color is that of a marigold, of the robes of a forest monk, a color of sanctity and earth. She applies this paste to her face and body, not as a cosmetic for color, but for its celebrated properties. It is believed to soften the skin, to act as a mild antiseptic, and to give the complexion a healthy, subtle glow over time. The feeling is cool and slightly tightening as it dries. The scent is grounding, a reminder of the soil and the roots of plants. While the cumin works its quiet magic, she prepares the next layer of fragrance. This is the pang rum, a fine, loose rice powder that has been painstakingly scented over many weeks, even months. This is not a product one can simply buy. It is created, a testament to time and patience. The process begins with the finest rice, ground and sifted again and again until it is a powder as fine and light as air. This powder is then layered in a sealed earthenware jar with fresh, fragrant flower petals. Perhaps it is jasmine, picked at night when its scent is most potent, or the heady, sweet perfume of ylang ylang, or the creamy fragrance of champaka. The jar is sealed and left for a day, allowing the powder to absorb the essential oils of the wilting flowers. The next day, the old petals are removed and a fresh layer is added. This process is repeated daily for weeks, a slow alchemy that infuses the plain rice powder with a complex, deep, and lasting perfume. After washing the turmeric paste away, she takes a large, soft puff made from downy capax fibers and dusts her skin with the finished pangrum. It does not color the skin, but mattifies it slightly and leaves behind a subtle, personal fragrance that will last the entire day. It is a scent of pure patience, a perfume that cannot be hurried. Now she dresses. This, too, is an art of folding and tucking. The primary garment is the panung, a single long piece of patterned cotton, or, for a more formal day, heavy, lustrous silk. Today, it is a deep indigo cotton, patterned with a delicate geometric design in white. Holding one end at her waist, she wraps the long rectangle of fabric around her lower body. The process is precise. She creates pleats at the front, adjusting the tension until it feels secure but not binding. Then she gathers the remaining length of fabric, twists it into a tight rope-like roll, and pulls this roll between her legs, tucking it securely into the waistband at the small of her back. The result is a garment that resembles loose trousers, elegant, and yet allowing for graceful movement. There are no buttons, no hooks, no closures. The security of the garment relies entirely on the precision of the wrapping. Over this, she dons a sheer, long-sleeved blouse, the suapat. It is made of fine, white muslin, starched to a pleasing crispness. The rustle of the starched fabric is one of the defining sounds of the polis, a whisper of discipline and decorum. The final touch is for her hair, which her young attendant has helped her coil into a neat, dark chignon at the nape of her neck. From a small bowl of water, she selects a single, perfect gardenia. Its petals are thick and waxy, and they still hold a few microscopic beads of morning dew. She secures it carefully with a single pin. Her adornment is complete. It is not designed to be loud or ostentatious, but to be a quiet statement of her place, her discipline, and her refinement. She is ready. Her first duty of the morning is not for herself, but for the queen or the high-ranking princess to whom she is assigned. It is an offering of beauty, a physical prayer made of petals and scent. This is the art of Wang Malai, the creation of intricate flower garlands. This task is performed in a designated part of her quarters, a space kept immaculately clean, where the light from the window is clear and direct. She sits on a woven mat, her posture erect but relaxed. Before her is a large, shallow basket lined with a fresh green banana leaf. The leaf itself provides a cool, clean surface for the delicate work, and its faint, sweet scent mingles with that of the flowers. Today's offerings have been delivered from the palace gardens just after dawn. There are hundreds of tiny, unopened jasmine buds, each one a tightly coiled spiral of white, like a small pearl, their fragrance still held captive within. There are the waxy, star-shaped petals of the dokrak, or crown flower, in shades of pure white and deep violet, and for a touch of color, a small bowl of tiny pink rosebuds. The air around her becomes a soft cloud of floral perfume, a scent so dense it is almost tangible. The work is meditative. It requires complete focus and a steady hand. She begins by sorting the flowers, her fingers moving with an economy of motion. She selects only the most perfect jasmine buds, uniform in size and shape. Any that are bruised or slightly open are set aside. She examines each dokrak petal for imperfections. This sorting is not a chore. It is the first step of the creative process, a way of attuning her mind to the materials. Her primary tool is a long, slender steel needle, almost a foot in length, with a tiny hook at one end to hold the cotton thread. She threads the needle, her movements deft and sure. Then the rhythm begins. She picks up a single jasmine bud. With a precise, gentle motion, she pierces its base, sliding it down the length of the long needle. The only sound is the faintest whisper as the soft petal gives way to the metal. She follows it with another, and another, and another, packing them tightly together until the needle is full. This forms a single solid rope of jasmine. Then, using the hook at the end, she pulls the thread through the entire column of flowers, leaving a fragrant, flexible garland in her hands. But this is only the simplest form. Today, the design is more complex. It will be a net-like pattern, a koi croat. She creates several long strands of jasmine, then lays them out. Using smaller pieces of the garland, she begins to stitch the long strands together at regular intervals, creating a diamond-shaped pattern. At each intersection, she adds a single violet dokrak petal as an accent. There is a deep rhythm to the work. Pierce, slide, turn, pierce, slide, stitch. Her mind empties of all other thoughts. There is only the flower in her hand, the point of the needle, the emerging pattern. This is a form of active meditation. It is a discipline that trains the eye, steadies the hand, and quiets the soul. The patterns themselves are ancient and symbolic, passed down from teacher to student through observation and practice. A net to catch good fortune. A zigzag to represent the serpent deities, the Naga. a circle to represent eternity. After more than an hour of silent, focused work, the garland is complete. It is a masterpiece of temporary beauty, a complex structure made from the most fragile of materials. Its scent is a tribute to the person who will receive it, a testament to the time and devotion invested in its creation. She lays it gently on a lacquered tray, misting it with a fine spray of water to keep it fresh. In its creation, the chaos of the mind has been ordered, and the day has been given its first graceful shape. The offering is ready. Later in the morning, after the flowers have been presented and her immediate duties to the senior royals are fulfilled, she might move to the weaving house. This is a long, open-sided pavilion within the inner palace grounds, a space dedicated to one of the kingdom's most revered and time-consuming arts. Here, the air is different. It is not filled with the soft perfume of flowers, but with the dry, clean scent of cotton and silk, and the faint, oily smell of well-tended wood. The dominant sound is the gentle, rhythmic clatter of wooden looms, a sound like a steady, gentle rain. It is not one single rhythm, but a collection of them, some fast, some slow, as several women work at their own pace, creating a complex, layered soundscape of quiet industry. She takes her place at a large, upright loom, its frame made of heavy, polished teak wood that has been darkened by years of use. The loom is a complex machine, but it feels like an old friend. Her project, which she has been working on for many months, is already stretched upon it. The vertical warp threads, hundreds of them, are pulled taut, a shimmering field of deep crimson silk. The silk itself has a long story. It began its life in the leaves of a mulberry tree, was spun from the cocoon of a silkworm, and then died in a bubbling vat of lac, a natural resin from an insect, to achieve this deep, rich color. The work she is doing today is the weaving of fayok, a supplementary weft brocade. It is a fabric into which threads of pure gold or silver are painstakingly woven to create elaborate, shimmering motifs. This is a cloth reserved for the highest echelons of the court, a fabric that is literally worth more than its weight in gold. The work is slow. It is profoundly, monumentally slow. It is a conversation between mind, body, and machine. Before she can pass the shuttle, she must create the pattern. Using a series of wooden foot pedals or treadles, she depresses a sequence that lifts a specific set of warp threads, creating an opening called the shed. The sequence is complex, a kind of code that she has memorized, which corresponds to a single horizontal line of the overall design. Once the shed is open, she passes the shuttle through. The shuttle is a smooth, boat-shaped piece of wood holding a bobbing of the main crimson weft thread. It glides across the lower layer of warp threads with a soft shh sound. This creates the base fabric, but the true artistry comes next. Before she closes the shed, she takes a small separate needle threaded with a single hair-thin filament of pure gold. By hand, she carefully inserts this precious thread, weaving it over and under the raised warp threads only in the specific areas where the pattern requires it. Today, she is working on the body of a canary, a mythical half-human, half-bird creature. This single gold thread will become a feather on its wing. Once the supplementary weft is placed, she pulls the beater, a heavy, comb-like frame, towards her. It presses the new line of weft threads firmly and evenly against the finished part of the cloth with a satisfying solid thump. The sound is final, locking the new row into place. Then the process begins again. She releases the petals and selects a new combination. A new shed is formed. The shuttle passes. The gold thread is inserted. The beater falls. Lift, pass, insert, beat. Lift, pass, insert, beat. The pattern emerges at an almost imperceptible rate. A single inch of this complex fabric might take an entire day to complete. It is a discipline that requires immense physical and mental stamina. To sit here for hours is to be suspended in time. The mind focuses only on the threads, the colors, the count. It is a practice that builds not only a beautiful object, but also a profound inner stillness, a deep well of patience. She is not merely making cloth, she is weaving light and color, time and devotion into a tangible form, continuing an unbroken chain of artistry passed down through generations of quiet, patient hands. The path to the royal kitchens leads through a series of open-air corridors where the scent of the air begins to change. The floral perfumes of the residential quarters give way to something more earthy and savory. Here, the air is laced with the fragrance of lemongrass being bruised, the sharp aroma of galanga, and the deep, rich scent of coconut milk simmering gently over a charcoal fire. The palace kitchens, or hongkua, are not one single room, but a complex of specialized areas. There is the hot kitchen, a larger, bustling pavilion where rice is steamed in great earthenware pots, curries are stewed, and meats are grilled. The air here is thick with fragrant steam and the rhythmic, percussive sounds of pestles grinding spices in heavy stone mortars. But our court lady's destination is not here. Her skills are required in a different space, the cold kitchen. This is a smaller, quieter room, set apart from the heat and steam. It is a space dedicated to salads, desserts, and the most refined of all Siamese culinary arts, fruit and vegetable carving, known as quesalak. The room is bright, with large open windows that allow for clear, natural light and a gentle breeze. The atmosphere is not of cooking, but of artistry. It feels more like a sculptor's studio than a kitchen. On long wooden tables, the raw materials are laid out not in piles, but in careful arrangements, like a painter's palette. There are firm green papayas, deep orange carrots, waxy dark green cucumbers, and the star of today's work, a large, perfectly spherical watermelon, its skin a beautiful marbled pattern of light and dark green. Her first task is to select her canvas. She examines the watermelons, turning them over in her hands, feeling their weight and the smoothness of their rind. She is looking for one with a uniform shape and unblemished skin. She finds it. A fine specimen, heavy with water and promise. She places it on a clean cloth on the table. Her tools are simple, but exquisitely sharp. A collection of small knives, each with a blade of a different shape, some pointed, some curved, some with a bird's beak tip. These are not butcher's knives. They are extensions of her fingers. She takes the smallest, sharpest knife, its blade no longer than her thumb. The work begins not with a bold cut, but with a shallow, almost invisible etching on the surface of the green rind. She is not drawing, but visualizing, tracing the outline of the grand flower that currently exists only in her mind. This is the foundation, the ghost of the final form. Then, with a focus as intense as that which she applied to her weaving, she makes the first true cut. The knife enters the rind with a faint, crisp sound. She is not cutting deep, only through the dark green outer layer to reveal the stark white pith beneath. She carves the outermost layer of petals first, her blade moving in long, graceful curves. With each cut, a sliver of green rind peels away, revealing the white below. The contrast creates the outline. The process is slow, deliberate, and deeply repetitive. She turns the watermelon, carving another petal, then another, ensuring each one is a perfect mirror of the last, creating a symmetrical starburst on the fruit surface. This requires immense control. A slip of the knife, a moment of lapsed concentration, and the entire piece could be ruined. There is no way to erase a mistake. Once the first layer of petals is complete, she begins the next. This time, she cuts deeper through the white pith to the pale pink flesh just beneath the surface. Now, she uses a different knife, one with a curved blade, to carefully scoop out the material between the petals, giving the design depth and shadow. The flower begins to emerge from the flat surface, taking on a three-dimensional form. The air fills with the fresh, sweet, watery scent of the melon. She continues this process, layer by layer, moving towards the center of the fruit. Each new layer of petals is smaller and more delicate than the last, requiring an even greater degree of precision. The final petals, at the very heart of the flower, are so fine they are almost translucent. After more than an hour of silent, focused work, the transformation is complete. The mundane watermelon is gone. In its place sits a breathtakingly intricate rose, its petals unfurling in layers of green, white, and pink. It is a perfect perishable sculpture. She then turns her attention to the other vegetables. A cucumber is transformed into a series of serrated, overlapping leaves. A humble carrot is carved into a cluster of tiny 5-petal flowers. A taro root, with its plain, earthy exterior, is peeled and carved into the graceful, curving form of a swan, its neck arched elegantly. Each finished piece is dipped briefly in ice water to keep it crisp and vibrant. Finally, she arranges them on a large, ornate serving tray, creating a beautiful, edible landscape. The watermelon rose is the centerpiece, surrounded by the carrot flowers and cucumber leaves. It is a feast for the eyes before it is ever a feast for the stomach. The midday meal, or Aharn Klangwan, is an affair of quiet formality. It takes place not in a grand dining hall, but in an airy, open-sided pavilion that looks out onto a manicured garden. The floor is made of dark, polished wood, cool to the touch. The only furniture consists of low, intricately carved tables and woven reed mats for seating. The air, freed from the scents of the kitchen, is now filled with the subtle perfume of the garden's lotus blossoms and the clean smell of the polished wood. The ladies take their places on the mats, sitting in the proper formal style, with their legs folded neatly to one side. There is no casual chatter. The atmosphere is one of serene expectation. The hierarchy of the inner callus, a complex and unspoken web of rank and favor, is never more apparent than at mealtime. The seating arrangement is precise, reflecting one's station relative to the presiding queen or princess. Our court lady sits among others of her rank, neither at the head nor at the foot, her position a reflection of her established place in this intricate society. Soon a procession of young female attendants enters. They move in single file, their bare feet making no sound on the floorboards. Each carries a single, large tray made of black lacquer and inlaid with mother of pearl. Upon these trays, the food is arranged in a collection of exquisite porcelain bowls. The ceramics are celadon, a pale, jade-green glaze that complements the vibrant colors of the food. The attendants move with a synchronized balletic grace, placing the dishes on the low tables with practiced ease. The food itself is a continuation of the artistry from the kitchen. The rice, steamed to perfection, is mounded in a perfect cone in its bowl. A gentle yellow curry, its surface gleaming with fragrant coconut oil, is adorned with a scattering of fresh, bright red chilies and deep green kaffir lime leaves. There is a plate of fresh vegetables served with a savory dipping sauce. And, of course, the carved fruits from the morning's work are presented on a central platter, an edible centerpiece that draws quiet murmurs of admiration. The sight is as important as the taste. It is understood that one feasts with the eyes first. The meal does not begin until the highest-ranking royal has taken her first bite. This is a moment of profound silence. She lifts a small portion of rice to her lips with a mother-of-pearl spoon. Only after she has done so are the other ladies permitted to eat. The act of eating is as stylized and graceful as every other part of the day. Using a spoon in the right hand and a fork in the left, A small amount of rice is taken, and then a small portion from one of the shared dishes is placed upon it. Each mouthful is small and is eaten slowly, mindfully. There is no sound of clattering utensils, no hurried chewing. Our court lady savors each bite. She notes the perfect balance of the curry, the sweetness of the coconut milk, the sour tang of tamarind, the saltiness of the fish sauce, and the slow building heat of the chili. It is a complex harmony of flavors, a testament to the skill of the cooks. She appreciates the crunch of a fresh green bean, the tenderness of the chicken in the curry, the fluffy texture of the rice. This is not merely refueling the body. It is an act of appreciation for the labor, skill, and artistry that has gone into every component of the meal. The silence is not awkward. It is respectful. It allows for a full appreciation of the food and the calm beauty of the surroundings. The only sounds are the gentle clink of a spoon against a porcelain bowl, the distant chirping of birds in the garden, and the soft rustle of a silk sleeve. Conversation, if it happens at all, is in low, hushed tones, brief and polite. The meal is not a long affair. It is efficient, yet unhurried. When a person is finished, they place their utensils neatly together on their plate. They do not leave, but wait patiently until the senior royal has finished. Once her meal is concluded, the attendants reappear, as silently as they arrived, to clear the dishes away. The midday repast was over. It was a ritual of order, beauty, and discipline, a microcosm of the very structure of palace life itself, nourishing both body and spirit in its quiet, measured grace. The afternoon sun is at its hottest, and a deep quiet settles over the palace grounds. The heat encourages stillness, a turning inward. While some ladies might retire to their chambers for a brief rest, others, like our court lady, use this time for quieter, more intellectual pursuits. This is the time for letters and for verse. She makes her way to a small, secluded pavilion that serves as a library, a repository of knowledge and poetry. The air inside is cooler, shaded by the wide, overhanging roof and the slatted blinds that hang in the windows, which chop the bright sunlight into soft, hazy stripes on the floor. The room smells of old paper, dry ink, and camphor used to protect the precious manuscripts stored in ornate, lacquered cabinets along the walls. This afternoon, she will not be reading. She will be writing. It is an art form as disciplined and revered as any other she practices. She retrieves her personal writing box, a beautiful case made of polished rosewood. Inside, nestled in silk linings, are her tools. There is a set of brushes with bamboo handles and tips made from fine animal hair. There is a heavy, dark stone slab, her inkstone. There is a solid rectangular stick of dried ink, made from soot in binder, with a dragon delicately carved into its surface. And there is a small porcelain water dropper shaped like a lotus pod. She sets her materials out on a low table. The first step is the preparation of the ink, a ritual that helps to focus the mind. She uses the water dropper to place a few drops of clean water into the shallow well of the inkstone. Then, taking the ink stick, she begins to grind it against the stone in a slow circular motion. The friction releases the fine black particles into the water. The sound is a soft, rhythmic shh, a gritty, soothing whisper. The smell of the ink, a sharp, earthy, almost sweet fragrance, begins to rise. She continues to grind, her movements unhurried, until the ink reaches the desired consistency, a rich, velvety liquid darkness as black as a moonless night. The paper she will use is called koi paper, a traditional handmade paper with a creamy color and a rough, tactile texture that catches the ink beautifully. She lays a single sheet before her. For a moment, she simply sits, her hands resting in her lap, her eyes closed. She is not thinking of what to write, but rather allowing a thought or a feeling to surface. The art of poetry in the court, or klon, is not about grand, dramatic statements, but about capturing a fleeting moment, a subtle emotion, a precise observation. Today, her mind settles on the memory of the gardenia she pinned in her hair this morning. The thought of its cool, waxy petals and its brief, perfect life inspires a short verse. She takes up her brush, holding it not like a pen, but vertically, her fingers gripping the bamboo handle in a specific, practiced way that allows for maximum control and fluidity. She dips the tip into the freshly made ink, drawing up just the right amount. She holds the brush poised above the paper. A moment of suspended action. Then she begins. The Thai script is not written, but painted. Each character is a collection of graceful curves, loops, and lines, each with a proper starting and ending point. Her arm moves from the shoulder, not the wrist, allowing for smooth, unbroken strokes. The brush touches the paper with the lightest of pressures. A curve flows into a straight line. A loop is formed. A final flourish completes the character. The only sound is the faintest whisper of the bristles moving across the textured surface of the paper. She does not rush. There is a space of breath between each character and a space of thought between each word. She is giving physical form to an intangible idea. The dark, wet ink soaks slightly into the fibers of the paper, a permanent mark. In a few minutes, the short poem is complete. It speaks of the brief beauty of a flower, its white purity against the darkness of her hair, and its scent that perfumes the air for a single day before fading. It is a simple, melancholic observation, a reflection on beauty and impermanence, a common theme in the art of the palace. She reads it over, not for errors, but to feel the rhythm and flow of the words she has just captured. The work is done. The act of creation has brought a sense of quiet satisfaction, of having given order and form to the fleeting contents of her mind, leaving a beautiful mark on the silent, hot afternoon.
As the afternoon wanes, the fierce heat of the sun begins to soften. The light changes, losing its harsh, white quality and turning to a warm liquid gold that bathes the palace in a gentle, forgiving glow. The shadows of the ornate spires and tiered roofs stretch long across the courtyards. This is the hour of twilight, a time of transition. The sounds of the palace change as well. The rhythmic work of the looms and kitchens has ceased. In its place, the evening chorus begins. The high-pitched, insistent chirping of cicadas from the ancient trees, a sound that is synonymous with the coming of night in this part of the world. For our court lady, the day's creative tasks are over. Her final duties are of a different nature. They are duties of presence, of service, of quiet attendance. She makes her way to the personal chambers of the queen she serves. The rooms are already being prepared for the night. Attendants move silently, lighting ornate oil lamps that cast a warm, flickering light, making the polished wood floors and silk wall hangings gleam. The air is scented with the sweet, smoky fragrance of burning frankincense, a scent meant to calm the mind and purify the space for the evening. Her role is simple. She takes her place on a mat near the couch where the queen is reclining, reading a manuscript. In her hand, she holds a large, beautiful fan. It is made of painted silk stretched over a delicate bamboo frame with a handle of carved ivory. Her task is to create a gentle breeze, a constant, soothing current of air to keep the queen comfortable in the humid evening air. This is not a task that requires thought, but it does require focus. The motion must be steady, rhythmic, and effortless. A flick of the wrist, a gentle wave, a smooth recovery. Back and forth, back and forth. The fan moves in a slow, hypnotic arc. Its painted surface of birds and flowers blurring into a soft wash of color. It is a silent, deferential act. Her presence is meant to be felt, but not seen or heard. She is part of the room's serene atmosphere, like the lamplight or the incense. She sits for what might be an hour or more, her mind empty, her body performing its gentle, repetitive duty. She listens to the cicadas, watches the geckos that make their soft clicking sounds on the walls, and feels the rhythm of the palace settling down for the night. Eventually, the queen retires. Our court lady bows low and withdraws, her duties for the day finally complete. She walks back to her own quarters through the now dark corridors, lit only by moonlight and the occasional lantern. The Fainai is a different world at night. It is a place of deep shadows and hushed secrets, of shared, quiet existence. She enters her room, which an attendant has prepared for her. A single oil lamp burns on a low table, casting a small, warm pool of light. Her sleeping mat has been unrolled. The day, with its cycles of duty and creation, is complete. It was a day like the one before it, and likely much like the one to come. It was not a life of grand events, but of small, beautiful moments. A life measured in the cool touch of morning water, the scent of a fresh gardenia, the threading of a needle, the patient weaving of a golden thread, the delicate carving of a flower, the mindful savoring of a meal, and the graceful painting of a single line of verse. It was a life lived within the quiet arts, in a world held separate from time. She extinguishes the lamp. The small flame sputters for a moment and then is gone, plunging the room into a soft, velvet darkness. And now, as the last echo of the final temple gong fades into the vast, silent canopy of the night, the palace sleeps. Good night.